I'm making my guest's favorite drink.
You picked a mojito, Vesper Martini.
The House of Balloons cocktail.
Nice and crisp.
Join me and some of the world's greatest writers.
Multi-award-winning author of 5 novels.
Best-selling author of more than 20 books.
The Pulitzer Prize, among many other awards.
Welcome to Dedicated. I'm your host, Doug Brunt. Today, we're with Cheryl Hines, from humble beginnings in Tallahassee, Florida, to working as a bartender and DJ in clubs in LA, where a kind group of her friends pitched together money so she could afford acting lessons, to earning a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Cheryl has had a fascinating life, and she lays it all out in her new memoir, Unscripted. Cheryl, it's awesome to be with you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, really. Thank you.
It's a pleasure, and I love the book.
Yeah.
And having read the book, of course, I know that you are a legit bartender, so the pressure is on me to do justice to this martini.
Well, you must know what you're doing.
I do. I used to bartend as well. Similar to you, it was like in clubs at the Jersey Shore, so there actually weren't a lot of martinis. It was more like shots of Jaeger and beer, but
you know what's funny,
I can make a martini.
Yeah, when I was a bartender in Tallahassee, people it was a really busy bar, and people would come up and order pina coladas, and the bartenders refused to make them because it takes too long with the blender.
Right.
So we'd always say the blender was broken.
Like a Bellini thing. I remember the Bellini mixer and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's like nobody's doing that here. You could have a Jack and Sprite. You know, that's it.
I remember the one thing in the book. We'll get to many of the funny stories in the book, but one I noticed was on your first night at one of these bars, the initiation routine was to take that bar mat that catches all the liquor spillage and pour it into a shot that they had you drink.
Yeah.
That is disgusting. We don't do that on this show. That is disgusting.
They said the other bartender said, yeah, you have to drink this. And, it was just like a brown, murky. I said, what is it? And they said, it's a Matador. I said, oh, okay. I don't know what a Matador is. I've never even heard of that drink. And they said, don't worry about it. Everybody does it. You have to drink it. And I did. And
was it just repulsive?
Oh, yeah. It's like half and half and bourbon.
Like a shot glass worth or more? All right.
Yeah.
By the way, dirty or no?
Yes, dirty.
Right.
And I'm talking about my life. I'm not talking. Good night, everybody.
That's. I remember it was Kevin Bacon and Kira Sedgwick or something. How's the marriage so good? He's like, we keep the fights clean and the sex dirty. I'm like, oh, that's good.
Whoa,
good
spicy.
Solution.
I like that.
All right. So we are almost having martinis.
So you like a dirty martini too?
I do. Yeah.
Nice.
So, but you're a vodka martini gal.
Yeah.
We clarified.
Why do you usually do gin?
I can go either way. I think like when they say just martini with nothing else, sometimes that can mean gin.
To be specific.
And I can go either way. I actually used to do more vodka, now more gin, but I always like vodka too.
This is exciting. I love the sound of a shaker with ice because it usually means martini.
That's right. Yeah. Well, you have had a very busy week, and I think this is your last gig for the day, so this is well earned.
Yes. Thank you.
Cheers.
Oh, cheers.
Great to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you. Eye contact.
And it's big in our family, too. We got a eye contact for the cheers.
Perfect.
So I wish we had time to go through every story in the book because they're so good, but I picked a few favorites that connected with me, and I also want to talk to you about your writing process, both for writing comedy and writing the memoir. But to open, I wanted to start with a broader question. I remember back some years, I'd watched Charlie Rose interviews, and when he had an author on, he'd say in this, he'd get his most profound sounding voice, and he'd say, why this book and why now? And I think in my experience, I've noticed there are a few reasons why anyone writes a memoir. The most common is settling some scores.
Yeah.
But that doesn't seem at all what this book is about. I mean, you throw a few punches and all deserved, and we can talk about those.
Yes.
But it doesn't seem about settling scores to me. So I'll open with the Charlie Rose question. Why this book and why now?
Why now? Well, a lot of people ask me, what was it like working with Larry David? How did you get from Tallahassee to Hollywood? And what was it like? What's it like being married to Bobby Kennedy? What was it like when he ran for president? And what's going on now? So, now that Curb Your Enthusiasm just ended. I mean, we shot for 24 years, which is crazy.
It is amazing how long that show went on.
So that ended, and this whole new world just opened in politics. Not that I am in politics, make no mistake.
Politics adjacent.
Very adjacent. So it just felt like this was the right time to do it and have some fun. I've had a lot of funny things happen in my life. And also, I've had a lot of things that I thought, oh, I'm not going to make it through this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make it through. And then I made it through, which is everybody, right? Everybody has challenges where you wake up one day and you think, I'm not going to make it through this.
Mostly in connection with the politics adjacent piece of things.
Hey, that's some of it. Yeah, some of it.
Yeah. Well, that's like, now that you got the memoir out there, you've got the record. You can just say, this short form's all the interviews. You can just check,
Yeah.
page 42 of the memoir.
Right. It's in my book. I've been dying to say that all my life. It's in my book. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Well, one of the stories in the book, so there I'll start picking a couple of things that I just loved in the book. One is Carol Burnett, who is, I know, an inspiration to you.
Yes.
Can you talk a bit about, your early days with Carol Burnett and how she has,
yes.
been such a trailblazer?
Yes. So when I was very young, when in grade school, Carol Burnett had her variety show, her sketch show, and my sister and I would act like we were asleep. And then when my parents went to go watch the show, we would go watch on the other side of the wall and not able to laugh. But everything she did was so funny, and it was such an escape. Just a different world, silly but smart. You have to be really smart to do that. I think it's so
well done. And I've actually noticed that people today are reconnecting with that stuff because you see these clips on Instagram bomb around and it's Harvey Korman and Carol Burnett and people are really enjoying these little clips.
Yeah.
Now they're
they were
viral.
amazing.
Yeah.
And it was I don't want to say simple, but it wasn't mired in politics or this is the right way to think and we're going to do a sketch about it. It was just funny and people having fun and really...
There's almost, late night could take a lesson from that. There's almost nowhere to go for that, which is probably why they're dredging up, 40-year-old clips of Carol Burnett.
I think you're right. Because I don't remember... I've been around for a long time. And late night used to be a light... something that you watch before you go to bed to put you in a good mood so you have nice dreams. That was my interpretation. And then now, I don't know, it's turned into, you could really get yourself
even they're
up.
going with the outrage formula for TV now. It's crazy.
And I don't know that it's working.
No. Ratings would, the evidence is against them on that plan.
Yeah.
But with Carol Burnett, I'm sure you saw the show Palm Royale. I was watching that, and I'm like, my gosh, it's amazing how much that actress looks like Carol Burnett. But of course, that's impossible because this woman looks like she's in her 60s, and Carol Burnett must be way into her 90s.
Right.
And then it was actually Carol Burnett. I couldn't believe it.
And it's so great to see her on the screen. And it was, she looks amazing. Yeah, magical.
Yeah.
It's really smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Tallahassee beginnings. So you really do come from humble. That is not an overstatement to say. You moved to L.A. and you can barely afford rent. You want to go to improv nights, but you can't afford the 2-drink minimum.
Yeah.
So your kind and well-meaning sister mails you her ATM card. Can you tell us how that went?
Well, my sister, Becky, Dr. Becky Hines, we've always been very close, and I had no money, and I was really, I was talking to her. She lived in Florida. I said, Becky, I have no money. I don't know how I'm even going to eat for the next week. And she said, I'm going to send you my ATM card. I said, oh my God, that's amazing. I get her ATM card. I stand in line at the ATM and I put in $40 and it said insufficient funds. And I was like, okay. I put in $20 and it said insufficient funds. And it just made me laugh, even though people were standing in line behind me, in the sun, like, I don't know what's funny at the ATM, lady, but you got to move on. So I called my sister. I said, why would you send me an ATM card and not have any money? She said, I might have money in there, after I get paid. I thought, okay, it's very sweet.
So funny. By the way, the story of your coworkers and I think customers too, when you were bartending, pooling money together for acting, really says a lot about how you must be as a friend, that they all thought of that gift for you.
That's really nice. Yeah, I was bartending at the Intercontinental Hotel in downtown LA. And I went to a Groundlings show, which is an improv and sketch comedy theater in LA. And I loved it so much. And even though at that point I had done a lot of acting, I minored in theater, I majored in television production. But when I went and saw the shows there, and they were so funny, silly, a lot of them silly and funny.
Mostly improv, like they just go up there and do their
improv and
thing.
sketch, like a lot like you see on SNL. When I came back to work, that's all I talked about. And, I think they were all getting sick of it. It's like, wow, if I just had enough money to take a class at the Groundlings. So for my birthday, they all chipped in and bought my first class at the Groundlings Theater.
That is so sweet. That's such a sweet story.
It was pretty
and
amazing.
like, what a return on investment for them. They're like, my gosh, look what we did.
It paid off. Yeah.
Whatever happened to that show, Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah.
That was the most amazing improv show ever.
Yeah.
Those guys still around? It was like
I don't know if
Drew
they're still
Carey or
doing it,
something.
but I did that show one time too, and it was, it's improv.
What a skill. That's crazy
It's a
that
real
they can do that.
skill. I mean, I'm not, I don't think my skill set lies in live improv, people watch it at a theater and it's funny. I think I'm better,
Like the Larry David Curb Your Enthusiasm version, which, by the way, is why the book is titled Unscripted.
That's true.
It's largely, he sort of gives guidance for what the scene's about, and then you guys just riff.
Right.
It's like a jazz band.
There's
It's
no
amazing.
script.
Yeah.
Script? There's no script.
Script.
Let's start a new word.
Haven't even you gotta,
that's one sip of a martini and I'm saying script.
The other thing I was amazed, just sticking on your sort of, needing funds to get scraped together to get a acting lesson, even when you made it big and people are recognizing you on the streets, you're not rich. You're still like working to get rent done and, paying off debt.
Yeah. Yes, because when Curb Your Enthusiasm started, it was considered a, I don't want to say small show, but the budget was small. It was supposed to look like a documentary. It was sort of, okay, let's try HBO. Okay, let's just try this. It doesn't cost a lot of money. It's not a big production.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
It was like the Blair Witch of comedy.
It was like the Blair Witch of comedy. So I wasn't making that much. And Curb was different because we only shot 10 episodes a season. So at that time, I mean, a normal show was shooting 24 episodes a season. So
That, like what Sopranos was and stuff like that.
The Sopranos might have been less, but like Friends, like,
like for network.
but even Sex and the City, I'm sure they shot more than 10 episodes a season. Ours was just at Larry's whim. That's all I want to do. So it was great to have that work, but I mean, I couldn't pay. I was still paying off my student loans. I was living in this little 1-bedroom apartment. Yeah, and
yet you're this, celebrity known across the country for this huge show. It's crazy. What a weird dichotomy.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, I remember I would pack my friends in my little apartment to watch Curb when it came on. It was after Sex and the City, before The Sopranos, and my friend said, why are you in this shitty little apartment? What are we doing here? It's hot in here. You don't have an air conditioner. She said, what? I said, I know. I don't know. This is just how it is.
Sleeping on the set down at HBO, although set was no big deal either.
No,
that
it
was
wasn't.
kind of a low frills situation compared to
We were
others.
always on location.
Yeah.
Never had a set. We were always in a house. As a matter of fact, one time we were shooting in a house. And I guess they had chickens. And we're in the middle of a scene, and a chicken walks by in the background, and the director said, "I think we have to cut." Who's in charge
Unless
of the
Larry's
chickens?
going to do something with the chicken, we got to cut this thing.
You never knew what was going to happen.
That's funny. I give it to a bunch of improv guys, though. You totally could have.
Yeah, we could have used it.
Wanted to ask you about religion. You were raised Roman Catholic, and in the book. I mean, there are so many stories in the book, so to get them all, people will have to actually get the whole book, but I'm picking a few, and I don't think this spoils anything, but you are twice visited by spirits of people who were very dear to you who had passed. Can you talk about spirituality and how you feel about that?
Well, it's interesting because, yes, I was raised Catholic, and At some point during my college days when I was so broke, and I went to church and they said, everyone needs to give 10% of what you have to the church or what your income is. And it made me angry. And I thought, this can't be the right thing for me. So I sort of drifted from organized religion, and I really, I'll just do it, going deeper. I think I see God in other people, or talk to me, or your relationship, sort of whatever that means to you, whatever's good in the universe. So some people come into my life and I feel a really deep connection with them. And yeah, I wasn't sure if I should put it in this book or not, but yeah, it did happen. And one was, oh boy, I hope I don't get emotional. One of my very best friends died by suicide. And then his boyfriend, my other best friend, died within a year. And so it was devastating. Mm-hmm. And I was mad at my friend Paul that he took his life. I was so mad at him. And it was probably maybe 2 years later. I was sitting in bed. I was lying in bed, and I was in. I don't even know what state. Wasn't sleeping. It wasn't a dream. But the next thing I knew, Paul, my friend, was sitting in bed next to me, and it was. I could feel, I could feel somebody sitting next to me, but at the same time, I knew it wasn't actually Paul. Didn't come back from the dead to sit next to me, but it was a very calm feeling. Mm-hmm. He sat next to me and he said, I just wanted to come talk to you before I forget how to talk. He said, I know that sounds crazy. He said, but here, there's no such thing as talking. People don't talk. And he said, and Eddie, I just wanted you to know, Eddie's so happy. He already doesn't know how to talk. He's not going to be able to do this, so I wanted to come talk to you. And I asked him, I said, do you have any regrets? And he said, this is also hard to explain, but where we are, there's no such word, no such feeling as regret. He said, that's something you guys put on yourselves. He said, but it's not a real emotion. It's not a real word. And so, no, that's not what's happening here.
Yeah, that's fascinating. It's such a powerful part of the book because leading up to that moment in the book, you help us get to know Paul and Eddie, because this is your posse running around LA when you first there. You're all broke. You're all kind of living to each other. You've got each other's backs. You're going everywhere together. Yes. And then, your life and their lives, slightly, you're not broke anymore.
Right.
And you have other obligations. But that's always your core posse in LA. And then this terrible bit happens. But the people who have near-death experiences and seem to get to the other side, I guess would be a way to say it, and then come back with an experience trying to describe how it was, sounds a lot like what you're saying there. It's amazing that it makes you feel like there's a dimension out there that we're not able to experience all the time. It's
true. It does. And it's, you take a risk because it sounds, people could say you're crazy, which is fine. But that was my experience, and I haven't been able to, I can't make it happen again. I can't.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, do you ever try to talk to Paul or, in a tough moment, sometimes we all are down on the bedside, dear Lord, don't, whatever.
I don't.
It's almost like a meditative thing you could try to tap into.
Right. It was almost like, I guess I needed him in that moment, and I needed to hear that from him in that moment, and he knew that. Yeah, so it's hard to describe, but it's like trying to describe somebody's essence. So when he was sitting next to me, I could feel his essence. I knew that was him. I felt connected. No time had passed. No bad feelings. So yeah, it's a hard thing to describe.
Well, it's well handled in the book, which
Thank
is,
you.
Otherwise mostly laugh out loud funny, but there are some very powerful scenes in there too, which is nice. Wanted to also ask you about Ethel Kennedy, who features in the book. And so she died in 2024 at the age of 96. And so as you are entering politics, she is exiting Earth.
Yes.
And do you think, though, if she was still sort of the more powerful grande dame of, decades past, would she have arbitrated this sort of weird Kennedy civil war that's happened in the last year since Bobby's become more prominent politically?
It's a good question.
Could she? Because she clearly commanded the respect of the. She was the matriarch.
She was the
Would
matriarch.
she have just put down any little brush fires?
It seems like she would have.
Yeah.
Like
slap somebody in line. Like who was it? Carrie? Who got out of line? This is one of the punches you threw, but it was all, as I said, all deserved. But,
okay. And by the way, just so you know, when I do come at some of his family members, I am only quoting their own words.
That's right.
I am not saying this is what they said to me behind closed doors. I'm saying, remember when they said this? They stood in front of the microphone and said this. So I think some people will be like, whoa, she's really coming at them. But no,
just recounting a few
your
facts.
Own words.
Yeah.
I think Ethel, what was beautiful about Ethel was she was a big personality and she was a matriarch. And, Bobby's family, Bobby and his siblings, they're all, they're I would say they're rule breakers by nature. If you meet any of them, you'd say, okay, these guys. But when it came to Ethel, they followed her rules.
They got in line.
Yeah. So I think she probably would have said, okay, let's
we're
take a breath. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, don't go against the family.
Yeah, don't go against the family.
Do you know, by any chance, the author Nelson DeMille? He is one of the great thriller writers of all time. He recently passed away.
I don't.
He wrote some terrific books, and he's a friend and a mentor of mine. He passed away a few years ago, but he would go down to Palm Beach in the winters, and he told me a couple times that he would get together with Ethel Kennedy down there. And he spoke so highly of her. So you and Bobby know. Bobby may know some of his books, or maybe not. I mean, they're thrillers. It might not be his thing. But if he knows Nelson DeMille, please pass on for me that Nelson really spoke highly of her. Let's switch to process for a second on some of your writing for both comedy and the memoir. So you mentioned at one point keeping a diary here. I think that you did for at least a period of time during the more politically adjacent stuff, but have you always kept a diary? How did you sort of cull together the life story here?
I don't always keep a diary or a journal, but I actually talk about this in the book because what I think is important for me anyway in life is when something happens, something good happens, that magical moment happens, I have to take a minute and burn it into my brain because I want to remember it. Mm-hmm. Because your life is going so fast and things don't matter. What did you eat for lunch? Who cares? You're not going to remember that tomorrow. But sometimes in these moments, through my life, I will have to stop and say, whoa, this just happened. And I need to remember it. So it's even like when I talk about.
So what's your because like at my wedding, I went into the night thinking that's my plan. Like I'm going to stop and say remember, make it indelible. And I'd look at something and then it didn't even work. Like even doing that, I'm like, it was all a blur. So how do you do it?
I have to, in the moment, think about it. And then later that night, before I go to sleep.
Come back.
Yeah. Revisit it. How did it really happen? How do I remember it?
But you don't write it down.
I don't usually write it down.
So when you were, you have stories going back to your early Tallahassee days, your LA days, of course. How did you sit there and think, let me think, what happened when I was 16 and a terrible, by the way, player on the softball team?
Terrible player.
How did you
how do I recount that? Well, it's funny because I remember it so well because it struck me as funny at the time. My sister told me I should play on the softball team because I'll never have to play, and now we'll get out of PE. And I thought that is a great plan. I don't want to take PE. I don't want to play softball. And it was great because one of the girls had a baby that I had to hold for her while she played softball, and I was on the bench. And even at the time, I remember thinking, this is hilarious and fantastic. And then, the problem was the next year, my friends said, I want to do that. I want to sit on the bench and hold a baby and not go to PE. And so then they sign up for softball, and then there were too many girls, and they said, you guys are going to have to play a JV team. And then all of a sudden...
And you're like, well, who's going to take care of the babies?
Yeah, who's going to take care of the babies? And so the next thing I know, we're all playing softball, and we were the worst team.
What position did you play? You might not know the names of positions.
No, this is how bad it was. I played shortstop.
Oh, all right. I'm impressed, by the way. That you know
well,
the name.
no, don't be. Because the only reason they put me in shortstop is because they said, well, you've already played on the varsity team. I said, let's be clear. I didn't play. And they were like, Cheryl, just get out there. Nobody cares. And so, that's how we played. It was when a ball came, I ran the other way, and my coach would go crazy. She's like, this is sacrifice your body. She'd always yell that at me. Like, I'm going to sacrifice.
It'd be great if you had the chewing tobacco and the whole George Brett look. That would be amazing.
Yeah. So I just remember that part. There are just parts that I remember because I don't know, they stick with me.
Well, it's great that you went back to that because, it all leads up to the present day, of course. So you meet the Kennedys and you're at some fancy party and they're all drinking champagne out of champagne flutes. And you decide at one point you have enough champagne, you go out back and dump it and pour Budweiser in your champagne glass.
Yeah.
Which just says so much about the whole story. I feel like that kind of sums up the biography in one anecdote.
That's me. And if it's... I'm not going to suffer through it. I like suffering through champagne. But it's like, if I'd rather drink beer, I'm going to drink it out of a champagne flute so nobody knows.
Yeah. One of the other themes in the book is viewpoint adversity, especially in the sort of later stages of the book. So in terms of the writing process and the publishing process, and we have Skyhorse here, which, by the way, we love Skyhorse.
Hello, Skyhorse.
And there are a few Skyhorse folks who are here in the studio with us, who published the book.
Yeah.
When you wrote the book and pitched it, from the agent through the publisher, did you find that there were certain people like, this is a hot rock, we're not going to touch this? Or how did that all go?
I really only talked to Skyhorse.
Oh, that's great.
They were very interested in my story, and they said, we want you to tell your story. We want you to tell it exactly the way you want to tell it. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, get ready.
Yeah. So I also was thinking about the book, and one thing that writers are often asked about a book is who is this for? Who's going to be your readership, and what are you trying to say with the book? And one thing I was wondering about the book. So I also think there's a difference between courage and not caring what people think. Mm-hmm. You 100% have courage, and to do all the things that you've done. How are you doing on the not caring what people think piece of it?
That's a great question because as soon as I finished this book, as soon as I pressed send to Tony Lyons at Skyhorse, I kind of had a breakdown. And I thought, what am I doing? Why am I exposing so much of myself to people? Mm-hmm. What are they going to think? Are they going to be mad? Some people are going to be mad. And then I was really in that space for probably 24 hours of just high anxiety. What am I doing? And then I got to the place of, it's okay. People, from the moment you're born, some people don't like you for whatever reason. And it doesn't matter who likes me and not.
Was there an attempt to not make them like you, but there is a lot on the record of like, you tell some Bobby stories, which are very charming. And actually speaking of like seeing God in another or spirits in another, the night you guys met sounds like, or maybe there was the second night you met, there was one and then another. But I think it was the second time you got together, you were like drawn and there was like a magical connection that people around you noticed. And I was wondering, having read it, if there's something in here where, I mean, you come from the Hollywood LA crowd, which is not on his side. And so people who were once friends are now distancing. And is there something in the book it's almost an attempt to say, look, if you knew Bobby like I knew Bobby, or if you knew the whole story, like, let me tell you the whole story and you might see things differently. Almost like not putting your pencil down,
Yeah. There is that, because I do have a lot of people that say to me, why are you married to him? Mm-hmm. Why in the world are you married to him? Which is always an odd question. But by the way, that's what people would ask me about Larry David, my fictitious marriage to Larry David. But, and then it makes me realize, people don't see what I see. Mm-hmm. They don't see Bobby the way I see Bobby. And nor should they, this is a specific relationship, but some people look at our relationship on paper. On paper, it's strange. I shared a bedroom with my mom when I was in high school for a little while. I went to state college that I had to put myself through, that I had to work 3 jobs, went to beauty school. I mean, I've had this completely different past than Bobby. Mm-hmm. Bobby's family.
He's yachting on the Cape. Yeah.
He's yachting on the Cape. They went to all the best schools, and they have this Kennedy name that they were born into that comes with a responsibility and with people already have a preconceived idea of who you are. And that works in both ways. It works to their favor and it works against them sometimes. But it could not be more different than my background. Mm-hmm. So when some people say, wow, they are the strangest couple, I just wanted to share what it felt like when I met him.
Do you think it'll persuade anyone to say, I get it now, or he's a good guy?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
I mean, plenty of people think he's a good guy, but of the people who think he's not a good guy.
No, I don't think so. And that wasn't the purpose either, because I think it makes me laugh to think, but I do think there will be some hate readers, like people that are like, I cannot wait to read this. They're going to be mad.
All fair, we could name 1 or 2 that you were just with.
Yeah, exactly. Like flipping through to find the thing that outrages them. Yeah. But no, I don't think anybody's going to read this and go, oh, wow, okay, now
they
I
might
like
a little.
him.
Some of the stories about Bobby are pretty charming.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Actually, I'm really glad to hear that.
No, truly. I mean, it's. I mean, you are such a likable person that I can only imagine what culture shock this has been for you getting into this politics adjacent place. Because having read the book, going back to the story of your colleagues at the bar and customers at the bar buying drinks for you. I mean, you've had plenty of adversity. I mean, you are from, as we say, humble beginnings. You've had lots of adversity, but being liked has never been one of your problems. And now that's like kind of one of your problems,
Yeah.
And so it's weird.
I do talk about that in the book, because that was like a little tidal wave, when Bobby, it all started, I don't want to say the word vaccines, but it all started with his stance on vaccines and questioning the efficacy and are they safe? That started off a firestorm. Mm-hmm. And then when he decided to run for president, suddenly...
Was Mike Rowe his VP? I can't remember. Who was that?
No. Nicole Shannon.
No, that's right. Yeah. Mike Rowe was like somewhere in the mix.
Yeah,
somewhere.
he...
I love Mike Rowe, by the way.
I love Mike Rowe, too. But he... but so suddenly, I found myself in a position where people, were coming at me online solely because I was married to Bobby. They just decided they didn't like me. And it was strange,
Yeah.
Because usually, in my experience,
that would be strange for anyone, let alone you. I mean, you were like so kind, and I can just feel it here. That can't be something you're used to dealing with.
That was strange. So usually, you make decisions in life, and you do things. You make choices, and you make choices to do an action that might cause a reaction from somebody. And maybe when you're doing it, this might upset people, but I need to do it anyway. I've never really been that person that's felt like, I'm going to do something that you're probably not going to like. It's just not in my nature. I don't know. And so then when people are mad at me because I'm married to Bobby, it was just strange. I mean, it still is.
Over bizarre. By the way, where are Jenny? Years ago, Jenny McCarthy and Jim Carrey were talking a lot about vaccines. I don't actually hear them anymore almost ever. Where are those?
Well, I think I just saw something with Jenny McCarthy saying, online, saying, this is what I was talking about, healthy vaccines. And is there anything we can do to improve someone's life if they have autism? But even saying that got her.
Just recently?
I know. Yeah. Recently, she has said, this is what I was talking about when everybody came at me. So it's interesting that people are talking about it again. But and Jim Carrey, they don't really poke their heads up as much they're
these
not
days.
Together anymore.
Well, I know, but they both seem to be independently have strong feelings about it.
I don't know what Jim's stance on it is.
I remember seeing a Larry King interview. I'm not 100% Larry King, but they were together. Yeah. And he was the more vocal of the two.
Yeah. There was definitely a time when they were together.
They were together at that time.
And they said, hey, let's take a look at the situation, and people went crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I follow, I really like both of them. And Jim is interesting because he's very, I want to say zen because that's a little, oversimplifying.
He seems a little too torqued up to be zen. Is he zen?
Yeah, he is.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I know. Life is interesting, isn't it?
I only know him from a million miles away over the camera. So that's interesting to hear. Wanted to ask you, you talk a lot about security in the end of the book. As the campaign was going and Bobby's running around, you're running around, security was an issue. And of course, the Kennedy family has terrible experiences with that. So did you happen to see the Charlie Kirk video of the shooting?
Unfortunately, I did.
You did see it?
I mean, I when it happened, I was probably like everybody scrolling through, and it just came up. But I didn't see it up close, or
There was a far shot and a close shot.
Yeah, I didn't see the close.
Okay. I unfortunately, just as a personal story, I saw it and I immediately texted our kids saying, "Don't go online, come home, don't open any text from anybody." And our oldest texted back, "Dad, I already saw it. And can we talk?" And I was like, "Oh God!" So that was horrible.
Isn't that hard?
Did you or Bobby have a particular reaction to that? Because it must hit home for both of you, but maybe him in particular.
Well, it certainly. Bobby was really feeling the loss of Charlie, and I didn't really know Charlie. I'd only met him, but and I think less so from a security standpoint. That just isn't something that Bobby concerns himself enough with. But just the idea that
Did he see the video?
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did. I mean, we were talking right when it happened. It's calling each other, just like when President Trump was shot. Mm-hmm. It's just that moment of wow.
So after, to your point, so Trump happens, and then when it happens with Charlie, you think, well, how are people not checking rooftops and checking all the things? I mean, so even now and Bobby, of course, can, as your book discusses and we have discussed, can create some pretty tense feelings in people. Is he not focusing much on security now? He's got to be.
He's got a 24-hour security.
He's got a Secret Service detail with him.
Yes, he has U.S. Marshals, and he's been in.
Like, would he go to a stadium outdoor event right now?
I don't think so. Yeah. Outdoor events are really discouraged for that very reason. So there are security guidelines. There are hard lines that you don't cross. And that was interesting, too, when Bobby ran, because suddenly we had 24-hour security. Mm-hmm. And I had to go through a security training, which I found fascinating, interesting.
Yeah.
I learned a lot.
What did you learn?
Well, I don't want to scare anybody. But if someone's coming at you with a gun, you should go for their arm and try to move their arm away. And even if you get shot while they're doing it, they don't have good aim because their arm is moving. That's terrible.
That assumes everyone can keep their head when someone's coming at them with a gun. By the way, I noticed you mentioned Gavin DeBecker in the book, which I think is a terrific guy and teaching good things.
Gavin is great. He wrote the Book of Fear, which is
Gift of Fear.
The Gift of Fear, which is great. And it's like, oh yeah, why is this person offering to help me to my apartment with my groceries? I didn't ask him.
Right.
Maybe I should not let this guy up to my apartment with, so.
Yeah. So the audience knows this book, The Gift of Fear by Gavin DeBecker, is just telling you to listen to that inside voice saying something's not right here. And people out of politeness often will ignore that gift. Like, oh, I'll let that person in the elevator. I'll let them hold my grocery bag, as you were saying, just to be nice. Yeah. But that politeness is what's going to get you in trouble. If something's telling you something feels off, listen to that voice. Yeah. Which is called, then that's the gift of fear.
Right. Listening to it. And if you feel like somebody's following you, you turn around and look them in the eye, which is hard to do, especially for women.
Yeah.
But you know what? My niece said that just happened. She had her earphones in, which is also a problem. If you're alone, you're not listening, but she had one out, one in, and she felt like this guy was following her, and she turned around, looked him in the eye, and he felt like, whoa, what's going on?
Well, now for you can just tell your Secret Service guy, hey, go look that guy in the eye for me.
That's true.
He's creeping me out.
True.
Go deal with that.
That is true. We got signals. Touch your nose. Yeah, that guy.
So the between the shot at Trump and the Charlie Kirk assassination, Bobby really hasn't changed his mode much in terms of how he's handling, I don't know. I mean, obviously, events are indoors, which is good, but that wasn't a big thing for him in terms of. No. I mean, it's big for everyone. In a sense,
listen, but by the way, and as I write in Unscripted in the book, because even when I first met Bobby, I said, "Why would your Uncle Teddy run for president after his two brothers were assassinated? That sounds. I don't understand it." Mm-hmm. And he said, why wouldn't he? I said, he said, if he feels like that's what he needs to do and that's his calling. I said, but isn't it dangerous? And he said, is it more dangerous than to go off to war in the Marines? Like, I don't know. Is this the discussion that we're having?
That's a good point, actually. Yeah. Or to be a cop in any one of these cities.
Right.
Oh my gosh. All right, so let's get off death. What before we get into the lightning round? What is next? So Curb is wrapped. Mm-hmm. You've got this cool memoir coming out. Mm-hmm. What's going on with you? And then we'll get into lightning round.
I'm producing a film, and I wish I could tell you about it. I can't tell you about it yet because it hasn't been announced, but it's going to be really fun. a little crazy.
Is it comedy? Is it drama?
I would say comedy.
Okay.
I know I'm really selling it, aren't I?
Are you going to be in it?
I don't know if there's a role for me in it. I'll tell you about it when we get off, but
okay.
I know that's not nice for your listeners, is it?
Where are you in the stages of production?
Casting.
Casting. Okay, good. Well, that's a fun stage. I love that. By the way, there are questions on that coming up.
I know. I'm
in the
scared.
lightning round.
I'm scared.
All right. Well, that's awesome. So that's this. This is taking up the majority of your time, aside from all. And you're mostly living in D.C. now. Is that sort of home base now?
In D.C. and L.A. I still have a place in L.A. So
right.
wherever it takes me, whatever I need to do. Yeah.
All right. Well, then on to the lightning round. I'm going to have one sip. We're coming down the home stretch.
Okay.
So I
I'm gonna have a
don't know if
sip.
I'm going to finish
Here
this
we
whole
go.
thing, but I'm getting
There's
close.
no way I'm going to finish it.
All right. First question. Your favorite book as a kid?
Well, I mean, as a kid, I would say Charlotte's Web. Yeah.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
All right. The book or books you're reading now?
I am reading Kamala Harris's book. What is it?
107 days. Thoughts?
I can't remember numbers. I'm always like, it's 107 or 108. Thoughts? It's interesting. And I probably see it through a different lens now because she's talking about an election that I was also watching from the inside.
Yeah. Well, I know you're on the way to Bill Maher. He skewered her on the book. He was like, it's everyone's fault but mine. It was his take of reading it.
I did see that monologue. I would listen. This is her story. This is how she sees it. Mm-hmm. Nobody can argue that. It's like, that's how she sees it. That's how she felt it. So,
well, I mean, people can argue it for sure. But
yeah, people can argue it.
That's her. I get your point.
Yeah.
All right. The most embarrassing audition ever.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll tell you this. It is embarrassing. I was auditioning for, I don't even remember what film it was, but it was one of those horror films that was like a spoof of horror films. And I was auditioning, I think, for, I don't even know who I was auditioning for. But anyway, the scene was that I was playing, my daughter was possessed by the devil. And the priest comes into my house to go see my daughter, and I take his hat to hang on the, coat rack. And I catch myself in the mirror with the hat, and I can't help myself but put it on and do a Michael Jackson impersonation. So I was like, whoa, okay, I guess I'm just gonna go for it. And when it got in there, it was kind of a big room. The director was in the corner. Like,
how old are you when this is happening?
Old enough. I'm already on curb at the time.
Okay.
I mean, I'm like...
you are a celebrity. You might not be rich, but you're a celebrity.
Yes, right. Early days. And I'm thinking, I don't know if this is a good idea, But I said... Before I went, I said, just go balls to the wall. Commit 100%. That's what you do as an actor. And even if you look foolish, 100% do it. Otherwise, don't go in. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay. So I'm thinking at least there'll be a hat for a prop when I get in. But there was no hat. And it was kind of a big room. The director's in the corner. It was just the casting director. And she's like, whenever you're ready. I'm like, oh, I'm ready. And I could just feel like the heat rising in my body. Everything in my body is like, no, don't do it. And she's recording it. Just don't. And I did it. And
So you sort of put on this fake hat.
Hat. Hee-hee. I did the Michael Jackson kick, and then woohoo. And then I walked out going, why?
Did you happen to get a look at their face as you...
No, I did not make eye contact after that.
Like
I was
jaws on the floor?
And what was also terrifying was there were actors on the other side of the wall that were waiting to go in. And I know that they just heard me, and I'm like...
And they're like rechecking their notes. Like, I thought this was a horror movie. Why is she doing Michael Jackson?
Yeah, I did not get the part.
Did not. Okay. Did the movie get made?
It did. It did. What were those? What were those?
Wait, do you know the title?
It was like,
Can you say the title?
Scary movie.
Yeah, Scary Movie.
It was Scary
It was
Movie.
one of the scary
Oh my God,
movies.
that's a huge movie.
Believe me, I wanted the part. I think that part got cut, or that's what I told myself.
So was there any feedback? Like, did they
Nope.
say she didn't get the car? If she could just do it this way or that way, maybe?
Zero feedback.
Oh my gosh.
It was just like, but the thing is, I know out there somewhere there's footage of me holding an imaginary hat. Because I
my
thought
God.
at least.
Whoever was casting for Scary Movie, please go into
come
your
forward.
archives and find that. That would be amazing.
Because I thought at least there will be a hat and I can cover my face when I do it,
Yeah. Which you would have gotten the part if they had a hat. For
Yes,
sure.
I would have nailed it. My Michael Jackson leg kick.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. Scary Movie. All right. I feel like I'm not sure I ever watched it, but I definitely know the name and the franchise, right? It was a whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. If you invert the Curb Your Enthusiasm roles so that it's not the David family, but the Hines family, so you're not David's wife, who would be the Hines husband? But who would play Bobby in the version of Curb that is the Hines family?
It's a tough role to cast because is he supposed to be funny or just like I think of if it was a movie, it would be Kevin Costner.
Yeah.
You know, kind of this rugged.
Which is funny, a little dangerous.
Right, right.
That sounds good.
Okay, let's go with that.
Costner. All right. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, is he hilarious? I don't know. Is that what we're going for? I don't know. We'll work it out in the script.
I don't know. Is Bobby very funny?
He is very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't project that
He
funny.
does not, and people are shocked when I tell him.
But he's clever and funny and likes to be funny and gets
Oh my
jokes.
gosh.
And
Does
he have a big laugh? I don't think I've ever seen him laugh.
That's so funny to say. He does laugh. He took my phone the other day. I was like looking for my phone. I couldn't find it. And I had one of my friends call it. I said, and he answered. He just left for work. He answers my phone. I said, Bobby, you have my phone. And he said, what makes you think that? I was like, what?
Well, that's pretty funny. That's
No,
clever.
it's good. He's funny. But people don't think of him. That's why I love watching him on TV because he's got that stone face.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it kind of
He doesn't look angry, but he doesn't look happy.
No,
I gotta
he
say.
is like all business, and that
Yeah.
is so not.
Yeah. Looks like a lawyer. He's
Yeah,
a lawyer, I know.
He's like a lawyer.
All right. If you were casting, or if you were making the 2024 election as a docudrama, but you've got to cast it out. Let me give you the roles, and then you tell me who you think you would cast in these roles.
Okay.
As a replay of the 2024 election: Trump, Vance, Biden, Harris, and Waltz.
This is all tough. Okay.
The key players.
Trump, I kind of like Tim Dillon.
Who's Tim Dillon?
He's a podcaster. He's very funny. He's
Yes.
He'd have a fresh take on it.
Yes, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, because I'm sure he does a Trump impression.
I don't know that he nails a Trump impression, but I think he
could do it.
Yeah, he could do
He'd
it.
bring his own flavor to it.
Oh yeah, I think
All right.
he'd bring his own flavor.
Tim
Okay,
Dillon, I do know that name.
who's the next one?
Vance, J.D. Vance.
Oh, that would be Taron Gillen. You have to.
I know that name too. Who's that though?
He was on SNL. He's funny, but he looks like.
He could be a good J.D. All right, he can do the accent. It's like it's
I'm
a
sure he
subtle
could.
accent. It's very hard one to get.
I'm sure he could. Yeah.
All right, Joe Biden.
Whoa, Joe Biden. That's a tough one. Who is the person that can do Joe Biden? Dennis Quaid and some makeup. I don't know.
Quaid.
I'm just throwing that out there. That's all I can think of.
That's good. That would be an interesting transition because I think he recently played Reagan in a movie.
I know he was very good too.
By Mark Joseph, who's a friend who produced all that.
That was fun to watch.
Yeah.
But can I hear your picks?
Oh my gosh. My answer is, who's that guy? Matt Friend. Do you know that comedian?
No.
He's my answer across the board.
It
He
could
can do
be-
all of
he
them.
could do all of
This
them.
guy's insanely good. If you go to Instagram, there's
Okay.
this guy named Matt Friend, and
Does he have dark hair?
yes,
Yeah,
he's a
he is
young guy.
great.
He's a young guy, but he can do an amazing Trump.
And
but then
they
he
are
does like
dead
a Mitch
on.
McConnell that is spot on and amazing.
He is really good. I know exactly
You know,
who
he's
you're
a
talking
chameleon.
about.
He can do
Yeah.
almost anybody.
Yeah.
Do you want to do Kamala Harris and waltz, or should we move on?
I mean, of course, that's Maya Rudolph. She's so good at Kamala. I
amazing,
know.
yeah.
And waltz. Who did waltz? Jim Gaffigan was so good on SNL.
Yes.
You felt like, I'm actually watching him. Oh, I think those two would be great.
By the way, for the audience, I will say it again. This guy, Matt Friend, is hilarious. He's so good. I don't know how he did a Barack Obama, and he goes, there's actually 3 kinds of Obamas. And he did all 3 versions of Obama, and you're like, oh my God, how did he see that and then do it? It was amazing.
Yeah. It's so interesting, people that can do that, because they hear it and then they embody it.
Yes.
Where we just hear it and go, whoa, I hear it.
For you as an improv person, here's one interesting thing I learned about improv, and I think you touched on it a little bit in your book. You never say no. Whatever comes to you, it's almost like a pass coming to you. Catch it and you do something with it. You can never say no. You've got to sort of get it and create and pass it on.
Yeah, that's true. See, I'm saying yes. Yes, it's true. It's true because in an improv, you start with nothing.
Yeah.
You start with nothing. So you're taught that whatever your scene partner says, it's fantastic. And you're excited to hear it, which is actually, it's a good note for life.
Yeah, it's like a team building thing.
Yeah.
This is how we lift each other up.
Yeah, you listen to somebody and you say, oh yeah, and we are going to lift each other up and we're going to start our own team. Says, whatever that is, it's like, yes, yeah, really, it's a good lesson.
All right, last question for the amazing Cheryl Hines and her amazing biography, memoir, Unscripted. One piece of advice for the audience.
Well, it's interesting because when I wrote this book, I didn't even realize it till I was done, but I have a lot of feelings about time. There are moments in my life when I felt like I wish I could go back. I need to go back in time, even if it's for 2 minutes. I just need to go back in time. There are moments where I feel like I need to stop time right now because everything's so perfect. There are times when Bobby said he was going to announce he was going to run for president. I thought, I want to skip ahead 2 years. And of course we can't. You're never going to be able to change time. So I think you have to fight those impulses and say, this is exactly the right time. Whatever's happening right this second is what should be happening right this second. And even if it's something that you feel like, I wish I could fast forward time, you don't want to. You'll miss all of those little moments. And if it's something really difficult, and Bobby running for president is not the most difficult thing that's happened to me in my life. When you read the book, you'll see. But, you'll get through it. Even in your darkest moment, when you feel like, I'm not going to get through the next 5 minutes, you will. And you have to keep that, you have to know that. And 5 minutes from now, you're going to feel slightly different than you do.
That is really perfect and the best advice because it captures both ways, forward and backward. With the forward thing, I often tell my kids, we drive to school on Monday. My wife and I, we have 3 kids, and we drive in separate directions each morning. We take turns which way to go. And on a Monday morning, the kids are like, it's Monday. I can't wait to Friday. And I always say, don't wish away the time.
Yeah.
Great things are going to happen this week. It's like school week, but it's going to be great. So don't wish away the time. And then with, changing something in the past with you, I wonder if that's what compelled you to include the piece about Paul.
Right.
And regrets.
That's right.
If you change one thing back then, all this other stuff changes, and it's
right.
like,
I know I say that at the end of the book. If a friend asked if you could change one thing about your life, what would you change? And at first, when I first heard that question, I was thinking I would change my brother dying. I would, and then everything, then, if you can change that, then that changes that. And it all unravels in a way that would change the trajectory of your life. So even as painful as some things are that happen to you, you have to take a breath and say, this is what's happening. And I'm going to be okay. I'm going to get through it. And I'll understand why this happened maybe later.
Cheryl, what a treat. I am so happy to have spent this time with you.
Thank
You're
you.
awesome, and I wish you the best with everything.
Thank you so much. I don't know how you drank your whole thing.
Oh, I'm totally drunk right
I am
now.
lightheaded, and I've just had like 5 sips, and I'm like, woo! I hope it's 11 p.m.
Great to see you.